was trying to run away. But yeah.
Not this show again.
But yeah, uh, you're listening to the Triple Threat Show. My name is Jeremy Lapidus, host of the Triple Threat Show, joined by my two friends and co-hosts.
Hayden.
And Peter.
Yeah, welcome in. Sorry.
I'm not used to. I guess I should be used to being first. Muscle memory from when I was last kicked at.
Oh, so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So technical difficulties. Sorry about that. We're still trying to figure it out. I think we just might not do a camera today.
All good. Looks like the sound's going through, so that's
Yeah,
all that matters.
that's all that matters. We're live on YouTube at the Triple Threat Show. But we have a big show for you today. March has begun, which can only mean one thing. The UFL is coming at the end of the month. But no. March Madness is coming up. The regular season has closed for a lot of teams, most teams, at least this weekend. The regular season is going to be over. Heading into conference tournament, we'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. We're also going to cover some big MLB spring training news. A lot of stuff we missed in baseball. We're going to cover a lot of that, some implications for the MLB 2024 season. And then we are in full swing in draft season. The NFL Combine is going on right now. There's been a whole lot of rumors about what's going to go on and these major stories. So we're going to cover some NFL offseason as well. But
yeah, biggest combine days today.
Yeah, quarterbacks are today.
Quarterback, running backs, and wide receivers.
The only positions people care about.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know. I thought this year the corners were the most important part because they're just. I did my first mock a couple days ago.
I did too.
And because I wanted to get one out before the combine, and I had like 6 corners in my first round. So we're talking about a really crowded corner class, and there wasn't a lot of separation between like the bottom 3. So I thought yesterday was a little more important. I mean, obviously, the quarterbacks are going to get the most media attention, and and all these teams are going to be more focused on these skill positions. But I thought the corners were the more important for at least the first round.
And I agree with you, but how about Dallas Turner? Oh my God, that guy's a top 10 pick after that combine. I mean, he was already borderline, but running, what did he run, like a 4.4 at his size is just insane.
Yeah. He had the fastest 40. He killed that combine. He really did. Broad jump.
Everyone knew he was a special prospect, but like
his wingspan, Hayden. He's a 6'2" guy. His wingspan is the same as a 6'11" guy.
It's a pretty big wingspan,
which is really important for an edge rusher to get to the quarterback.
You get up in the lineman's frame, they can't touch you. You're too far away from them.
So he's an Atlanta Falcon. I'm gonna tell you that right now. He's an Atlanta Falcon because he's the first. That's the first team that needs an edge rusher in the draft. So
that's assuming
they don't trade it.
That they get Justin Fields, of course, or a quarterback because they're not sticking with Desmond Ridder.
So what? I guess we're talking about NFL. The consensus right now, because my team, as people around me know, is the Lions, but my second team is the Falcons. So I follow a lot of Falcons stuff. And right now, there's 2 quarterbacks that are in the grapevine, so to speak, of non-rookie quarterbacks that they're interested in. And that's Caleb Williams, and I'm not Caleb Williams, Justin Fields, and Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is the name that's been coming out of the combine. Is they said essentially they can't get a trade done because it looks like the Bears are really trying to push for a first round pick for Justin Fields. If they can't get a trade done because they're not going to give a first round pick for Justin Fields, they're going to try and get Kirk Cousins to free agency. And if all else fails, they're going to try and trade up and get Jaden Daniels in the draft.
Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, those are the 3 names.
There's a lot of names surrounding the Falcons. We know for a fact they're not bringing back Desmond Ridder or Taylor Heineke to start.
No. New head coach Larry Blaney said, I wouldn't be here if we had good quarterback play last year. He said that in a press conference.
Yeah. So, not a great sign for those guys.
No.
So we're looking more for the Falcons. All signs seem to point to them getting Justin Fields at this point.
Or Kirk Cousins. They're not going to give up a first. And if the Bears are insistent...
The Bears aren't going to get a first for Justin Fields.
I agree, but everything out of the Bears camp has been saying, we want a first. It doesn't have to be this year, but we want a first.
I want $1 million, so...
Yep. I think that it's because a lot of teams started calling. Because the Steelers called, the Falcons called, and then there was another team.
The Broncos?
I think Broncos, the Raiders, a bunch of teams were calling about Justin Fields, and they kept on one-upping each other. And someone who went from, oh yeah, we'll do it for a third, went to a second, and now they're like, we want a first.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, people will give it up.
Yep, and someone's going to give it up. And we'll find out March 13th, because that's when trades open. We won't find out before then.
Well, they keep saying that it's going to happen within a week. They keep saying that. But...
Literally cannot happen until March 13th.
Of course. But yeah, no, the combine is underway right now. A lot of the top quarterbacks aren't throwing. If we're talking about quarterbacks today, the guys that at least I'm keeping an eye on are that second tier guys. You know, that second tier quarterback that isn't, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May.
Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, Spencer Rattler. All big names. Joe Milton. All big names that are going to be in this upcoming draft who are all at the combine today. How about Caleb Williams, though, not doing medical testing? First player in the history of the combine to show up at the combine and not do medical testing.
He doesn't need to do anything. He's going number 1 overall.
So apparently, previous players spoke out about this, and he thinks the reason why is because when you do medical testing at the combine, every single team doctor brings in a doctor, and it's one by one. And so they do all the tests again, over and over and over, for every team that's interested in you. And then they ask you the same questions, and then they leave, and then a new doctor comes in. And it keeps on going. So for a guy like Caleb Williams that probably has a lot of teams interested in him, would you want to be there being poked for probably 3 hours to 4 hours?
No, I would not. But, we understand. I understand why he's not doing it. And like I said, he doesn't need to. He's going to be the number 1 overall pick.
Unless...
No, there's no unless.
No. There's one unless, and that's if the Bears keep Justin Fields and they draft Marvin Harrison. That's the one scenario.
I don't think it's worth it for them to do that. Like,
yeah,
I understand Marvin Harrison Jr. is...
He's the best player in the draft.
The best player in the draft, and probably, and out of every player in this draft class, the most likely to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But
bar injury, he's probably going to be a Hall of Famer.
But we're looking at a team in the Bears that, if you do decide to keep Justin Fields, the amount of capital that you can get for that number 1 overall pick, and you might not even have to trade too far back. You might still be able to trade into Marvin Harrison range. If you trade with, say, the Patriots.
I think the Patriots. You can't risk the 4th because the Patriots have started to say they're going to get a veteran quarterback.
If you trade with, say, the Patriots, reports are, 3 firsts and a second or something like that for that number 1 overall pick.
Yep.
Maybe more if you can get a bidding war going. You can trade down, still get Marvin Harrison at 3. It's not worth it for them to draft him at 1.
I think only trade is down to the Commanders pick at 2nd.
Why do you say that?
Because the Commanders are the only team that is probably desperate enough for Caleb Williams. And Caleb Williams also wants to be a Commander. That is the team he wants. He grew up in D.C. He went to high school at Gonzaga. So, like, he has been a Commanders fan for, like, his entire life. He wants to be a Commander.
That's a first.
Yeah. Especially with the NFL Players Association survey coming out, and once again, the Commanders have the worst facilities.
2-year champion. 2-time.
It was I think
Back to back.
Back to back.
though the Chiefs owner was voted by Chiefs players as the worst owner in the NFL.
100% hit rate at being the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said he is by far the worst owner.
It is surprising that the Chiefs were 31, though. That was the most surprising thing to me in that.
No, because when you actually read why they promised like all this stuff last year that they were going to pay for, and then the owner started this season and they were like, okay, we're going to pay for it, right? And the owner was like, what are you talking about? We're not doing that. And just completely backed out on everything he told the players.
Right.
So,
But, like, before you write any of that, you take a look at that list, and you see the Chiefs, 2-time
I see
Super
what
Bowl
you're saying.
champion, sitting down there with the Washington Commanders and the Panthers and the Cardinals.
there's the guy who throws drinks on people.
And you see them sitting at 31 in the league. That was shocking to me. Now, there are valid reasons behind all of these. This is something the players take seriously because it leads to actual improvements. You've seen the Jaguars jump from 28 to 5 in just one season. It leads to real improvements. So, they take it seriously. But the Chiefs at 31 was shocking. It's shocking to see such a successful team at the bottom. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm curious to see that second group of quarterbacks because J.J. McCarthy's been getting a lot of love, and we've talked about that a lot.
I really like the kid.
I don't understand it.
I really like the kid.
Everyone I talk to is like, J.J. McCarthy. Oh, he's so good.
I don't think he's so good. I think he's the third best quarterback in this draft.
I think he's not even top 5.
Yeah, I can see it. I think the reason why I say it is because the intangibles of J.J. McCarthy you're not going to get with anyone else in this draft.
What do you mean by that?
There's no one else in this draft who played on a bigger field than J.J. McCarthy. There's no one else in this draft that I honestly think he has the best recognition of defenses in this draft class. I mean, the number one thing that Michigan fans said, is that this kid, his like mental awareness for the game is elite. They're not arguing. There's a few idiots that, say he has like an elite arm. He doesn't have an elite arm, and he's not an elite runner. But the thing that made Tom Brady, and I'm not saying J.J. McCarthy is the next Tom Brady, but what made Tom Brady is the mental. He didn't have a good arm. He wasn't a good runner. But that mental game is elite. And the only other player in this draft that I think has that good of a mental game is Michael Penix.
And he also played on that same stage. He also played in that national championship game.
Yeah, but he didn't win it.
Yeah, you're right.
And let's be honest, the Washington was a really good team this year, but no one expected them to be a good team this year.
Right.
Which everyone always expects Michigan to be a good team. Michigan also had to deal with the scandal throughout the entire year. All these psyche things, they never lost a single game. And he's the youngest quarterback in this draft. All these other guys are old. I mean, they're like 24 or 23. All these quarterbacks are old. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is younger than a decent amount of the quarterbacks that are coming into this draft. And here's J.J. McCarthy, who just turned 21. That's 3 years of development.
Yeah. No, that is a big factor there. I just don't see the talent. You know, I think he'd be a really good backup in the league. I think he'd be a great backup.
Well, you don't draft him in the first round if you plan on him being a backup.
I think he might be an elite backup quarterback.
Sean Payton said he thinks he's the best quarterback in this draft. So he's going to be a Bronco of the Broncos.
I know. It's such a Broncos thing to do.
I mean, look at the past quarterbacks that Sean Payton has been a fan of, though. Drew Brees, Tony Romo.
He's a big Taysom Hill guy.
Oh,
Not a quarterback, though.
I know. I mean, Sean Payton has had a decently good eye for quarterbacks. Let's be honest.
Of course, Sean Payton is a great talent evaluator. He's a great coach.
And if Sean Payton's telling me that the number one quarterback in this draft is J.J. McCarthy...
Doesn't have a 100% hit rate, though.
I know he doesn't, but...
And I think that is out. I think that's ridiculous to say.
Oh, I do too.
He said it, though.
I think that he's top 3 for sure. I mean, does everyone want to say they're top 3? And then...
Yeah, sure. Do you have a top 3? My top 3...
Pretty basic.
Yeah, basically. It's Caleb...
There's 1. Is this in order?
Yeah, Caleb 1. I keep flip-flopping between Drake May and Jaden Daniels. I'm going to put Drake May at 2 and Jaden Daniels at 3.
Is that the same as you?
You said May at 2? Yeah.
I would say Drake May's number 1 for me. Number 2 is Caleb Williams, and number 3 is J.J. McCarthy.
Why are you such a Caleb Williams hater?
I'm not a Caleb Williams hater. I actually really like Caleb Williams. I'm worried about his conduct in the league, though.
What do you mean?
I really like Caleb Williams. I think that, in fact, when I get on Twitter, it's essentially all just Caleb Williams hate from people all of a sudden. And I really like him. His skills are all there. He has, in the film that I've seen, he has trouble making the correct read sometimes. But that could simply because USC had a horrible offensive line. And he constantly had to scramble to get open. So, but you also have to remember, if he goes to the Bears, he's probably fine. But if he goes to any team other than that, he's going to have that issue in the NFL with those top spots. But his conduct off of the field is a concern. And, I mean, you can't paint your nails and say, like, obscenities at the other team in the NFL. Like, they're just not going to let you go on the field. And, you know, let's be honest, this past year, before this year, everyone would have said there's not a shadow of a doubt he's the number 1 overall pick. And that is still the belief, but it's definitely been hindered.
I don't think he's been hindered because of his off-the-field stuff. And I think if you, as a NFL analyst, an NFL fan, or an NFL GM especially, are making your draft pick or not making a draft pick because a guy decides to do a photo shoot with painted nails and wears a dress.
That's not what I'm talking about. He went on the field with, that said, I can't say it on air, but blank Notre Dame painted on his nails during a Notre Dame game and stuff like that. They won't let that happen in the NFL. he also has already started to get lawyers to look into the NFL's collective bargaining agreement with the NFL Players Association, so that way he can get around it. I mean, these are all things. His dad asked at the combine once again for ownership for whatever team he's drafted to. I mean, these are all things that concern teams. He's not going to have an agent going into the league. The only player to do that previously was Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson proved that that was okay. But when that happened, Lamar Jackson dropped. I mean, he was the last pick.
Yeah.
I mean, in the first round. I mean, these are all concerns that you have to have. Because what happens if he goes into the league and he gets flustered, and then he doesn't have that mental preparedness to be a great? So I think Drake May has just conducted himself better. I'm not a big Jaden Daniels fan. He's not in my top 3. Honestly, he's barely top 5. Actually, he's not top 5. But other than that, I like Caleb Williams. I really want him to succeed. But I'm really worried that his mentality, he's just too immature to succeed outright. And then he's going to struggle because of it.
All right. That's fair. And those are fair concerns as the NFL part, but why not ask for ownership?
Because it's against a bargaining agreement. They literally voted it in back in the July, and the reason why was because of Tom Brady. Because they didn't want Tom Brady to get ownership of the Raiders and then be like, okay, time to play. They literally voted on it right when he got his ownership. It was the Tom Brady rule.
Wow. Now he's really cemented his legacy.
Yeah.
He's got a rule in the rule
The
book.
rule is now that all 32 teams now have to agree to let a player with ownership play.
Yeah. But yeah. There's a lot more NFL draft coverage. We'll do that as that comes further down the line. But
Very big day today for that.
yeah, keep an eye out on the combine. We'll break down a lot more next week for that.
Oh, wait, there was one quick thing, and it's just a funny thing. Have you guys seen what Braylon Allen looked like when he was 17 years old?
No.
No.
You guys are... The photo on the right. And I know that people can't see this, but...
Let's see.
This was Braylon Allen at 17.
Dang.
That may have helped his stock. He may no longer be a 4th round pick. And this is what J.J. Watt responded with. He responded with a photo of him at 17.
It's pretty good.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're all
I
good.
saw that yesterday, and I was like, oh my god. This guy's a bodybuilder. He's not a football player.
It's good to have that size. Strong.
Well, he got brought into Wisconsin as a linebacker, and then they needed a running back.
It's crazy.
Good for him.
Good for him.
All right.
But yeah, lots more NFL stuff. Free agency is going to open soon. More teams are franchise tag, starting to think about that stuff. So we'll talk more about that in future weeks. Keep an
I
eye
have a
out.
question about that.
Oh yeah, what's up?
Where does Mike Evans go now?
He's either going to test the waters. He's testing the waters in free
Yeah.
agency, and I think that is the Bucks probably weren't paying him enough,
Mm-hmm.
so he's going to say, "This is the contract that I'm getting paid here. Match it, or I'm going to leave," and then they're going to match it.
Okay.
The other possibility that I've heard is Panthers, because there's a coach on the Panthers that he really likes.
Okay. So I know he was saying something about like wanting to play with like a veteran QB too. I
Yeah,
don't know.
he said something about not deciding with the Bucks until they figured something out with Baker Mayfield, or what they were going to do with Baker Mayfield.
Funny part is that Baker said that he didn't want to sign until Mike Evans
Right.
signed because he doesn't want to stay if Mike Evans isn't there.
So I don't know if that means Mike Evans wants Baker Mayfield to stay, or it means that he's only going to re-sign if he doesn't. Because that was a very
Yeah.
Worded.
Ambiguous.
Vaguely, yeah.
yeah. So who knows with that? I think he'll stay with the Bucks because I think the Bucks will just pay him whatever.
Okay.
He'll probably reset the wide receiver market,
I think
which is crazy.
1 is Bucks, 2 is Panthers, 3 is Chiefs.
Mm.
With the
that's what I
$20
was
million
thinking.
that all the teams just got in their cap space, they can afford it now.
Mhm.
I don't think the Chiefs are going to spend on a receiver.
I mean, they don't have to anymore, you know? Look what they did without one.
Yeah. But Patriots just released a bunch of people, and they have $100 million in cap space now.
So do the Commanders. They got 91.
Yeah.
There's lots of moves for these teams to make.
And Saquon's going to the Texans.
Yeah, he is. Unless the Giants franchise tag him again.
Can they franchise tag him? I thought they couldn't do it.
They didn't even franchise tag him last year.
Oh, they didn't, right?
So they can. They can do it like 3 times in a row, I think.
That was one time. And then you couldn't do it again.
No, because the Commanders franchise tagged Kirk Cousins like
Poor Kirk.
so many times in a row. That was his whole "you like that" thing. He was like, "Give me a contract."
That's funny.
But yeah, I mean that's why he can't be franchise tagged this year. He's been franchise tagged too many times.
Oh yeah, there was JJ McCarthy was asked at the combine who would, if in like a vacuum where you could play not for a team, but if you could play with any wide receiver, who would you choose? And people were absolutely stunned when he said, "I'd like to play with Justin Jefferson."
What?
The best wide receiver in the world? You want to play with him? Oh my god.
No way.
That's crazy.
I don't believe he said that.
Oh yeah, Jerry Rice's son is also in this draft.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. USC wide receiver. He's in the draft. He'll probably be a 5th round pick.
Legacy draft.
Legacy draft.
Frank Gore's
Nepo
also,
baby.
Frank Gore's kid is also in this draft.
So many Nepo babies. Oh my.
A fellow Sun Belt alum.
Yeah, Southern Miss.
49ers were asking about him.
Al Gore?
Yep.
Yeah.
Al Gore.
Definitely Al Gore.
Al Frank Gore Jr.
Mm.
All right. But, yeah, lots more NFL. The offseason is just starting to heat up. So, keep an eye out. We'll keep an eye out for you as well. But, yeah, there's also, for those who are unaware, been a lot of baseball going on.
Yeah.
And not just, like, theoretical baseball going on, but, like, real games. Or kind of real games. Like, half real games. Spring training is happening.
Yeah.
They're back. It's very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
We're about 2 weeks or so, maybe 3, 2 weeks into spring training. And there's still a couple people out there. Now, Matt Chapman was signed in the waning hours of yesterday. I believe at like exactly 11:59 or something like that. It was pretty late. He signed.
Earlier than that.
Huh?
It was earlier than
You
that.
gonna fact check me?
Yeah.
I think it was 12:01 actually.
Oh, it was 12:01. You win. There you go.
Signed to the Giants on a 3-year, $54 million deal. Third baseman. We're talking baseball now.
Yeah. One off season heats up, one is winding down. You missed that transition.
I heard Giants, and I was like, I thought we stopped talking.
The San Francisco Giants have signed Matt Chapman, third baseman, 3 years, $54 million with an opt-out after every single year. Player opt-out?
Mhm.
They needed a third baseman.
Kind of.
What do you mean, kind of?
I mean, I think J.D. Davis is like a fine option there. He's like Matt Chapman at home, you know? Plays solid defense, isn't terrible with the bat, he's above average. Matt Chapman at home.
Yeah. The Giants were on my short list when I did a little segment about them about 2 weeks ago when Bellinger, him, and those two pitchers that are still on the market were unsigned. I am always confused about San Francisco, constantly. They seem in a perpetual compete mode when they probably shouldn't be. Honestly.
I mean, yeah, things got weird for them. They had like a very like aging core from that,
3 and 6 years.
Yeah, 3 and 6 years. I was gonna call it like a three-peat, but that's not that.
They were the even year kings.
Yeah, and they had that aging core of like Buster Posey, Evan Longoria, Brandon Crawford, Brandon Belt, and then Buster Posey, after opting out that 2020 year, came back in 2021 and decided, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna be a Hall of Fame catcher again, and then he retired. So they were kind of just in a weird spot. But I mean, I don't know. They know what they're doing where they can kind of raise it. It's just, the Rays don't have, the most competent front offices. Like, they're the best front office in that division. While, the Giants have the unfortunate circumstance of playing in the NL East or West.
Right, that's what I was saying. It's not that they aren't in a place where in the Central or the East they could compete. Maybe not in the East, but in the Central they could compete.
I think they can compete in the East. I think they'd be around where the Phillies are, It's like a wild card.
But you have the Dodgers in your division.
Yeah.
You have, the Padres are a mess.
They are a mess. They just still don't have an outfield.
But they're still in your division, and they could maybe figure something out. I don't believe they
No,
will.
I think the Diamondbacks are the bigger concern. The Diamondbacks are sneaky good. I really like.
They made it to the World Series last year.
Well, they had a really good offseason. It's more what I meant. Add Erod, that's all you need to do for that team. They just didn't have any starting pitching. Now they have it.
But there's still two big fish on the market, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Reigning NL Cy Young winner Blake Snell is still out there.
Yep.
And so is Jordan Montgomery, who had a pretty solid year last year. What is going on? Why is it taking so long for these guys to be signed? I personally think it'd be a higher priority for the pitchers to get working than the hitters.
Yeah. So, there's so many different factors in it. I guess it's kind of like, where do we start kind of thing.
I know it's all Scott Boras. They were all four of those guys were Scott Boras.
Yes and no. So, I guess we probably should start. Money is a massive factor in this. Baseball is a little different from like something like football, where, each team has their own regional sports network. And a lot of their revenue comes from the money that they get in the TV deals with that. And we are watching the collapse of regional sports networks as we know it, because cable, just across the country is getting people are cutting the cord, so to speak. And so we've seen 2-3 teams already lose their RSN already.
I know Bally Sports is going under.
They're going under. They're about to get bailed out by Amazon. Where then then they have the revenues guaranteed for this year. But then they don't know next year and the years beyond. The Nats always have like that whole massive thing. And then I'm trying to remember. I know in Seattle and then I think Pittsburgh, they just bumped up the channel where like those teams are carried onto the the highest TV package available now.
Mm.
You know, where it's not on like the basic cable, it's not on that popular cable that's a mid-tier package. It's on that highest package now, which you're going to lose extra revenue because of it being on there. And so now they're in this weird predicament where they're losing money a little bit. And why, and then the other issue is with the more and more technology and more things being able to be tracked, you can't just post a good platform here statistically and expect to get paid. I know Blake Snell was coming in looking for $300 million. Cody Bellinger was coming in looking for $200 million. And they just, the ability for them to repeat the seasons they had, there's a lot of doubt on that. Obviously, they can still repeat it. Those guys are super talented. I mean, Blake Snell's won 2 Cy Youngs. You can't just, randomly win a Cy Young. We watched Rick Porcello do that. But it's hard to do that and to have the success that they had. And so it's just hard for teams to buy into that,
Yeah, and I get it.
We watch good players get paid still. Shohei Ohtani got paid. Yamamoto got paid.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Nola, obviously the pitchers haven't signed yet, but he has the 5th largest AAV of any contract handed out and the 3rd most money. I don't think you would have said that at the start of the offseason.
No, I don't think I
at
would.
this point in the year. Yeah. I don't know. It's just weird.
It's been a trend for people to sign later and later in baseball, I think, recently.
Yeah.
I don't know if that hurts the product on the field for those players specifically. I'm sure they're getting their work in, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's no way that they're not on a team and not getting their work in. But for pitchers especially, I think it's vital that you be at spring training.
Yeah, they're just not getting, at-bats.
Especially
live at-bats against pro hitters, essentially.
Right.
That's the only difference. They're still, on their throwing program now. They're still ramping up.
Right. And I'm of course they are. They're expecting to be on a baseball team.
Yeah.
But where do they end up? Where are they going to go?
Well, so Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery have 2 different cases, I feel like. Obviously, the ceiling's a little bit higher with Snell, but he also has a qualifying offer attached to him, which means pretty much any team that signs him loses a draft pick. That's part of the reason why you saw people so skeptical to hand Matt Chapman the style of deal that he was offered, and a lot of teams, or you're going to see a lot of fans like, oh, we could have offered Chapman that, but if you're not a contender, that deal does not make sense. And then, also, it was also just a lot of money, too. I mean, $20 million, and then you're kind of stuck with a contract if he doesn't replicate it, because Chapman specifically, he had a really, really good April, and it was, awful for the rest of the season. He was putting up, Barry Bonds numbers in April, but he was not good the rest of the year, and the defense is declining a little bit. That's kind of what keeps his floor where it's at. Something I'd really like to see the Giants to do is go trade J.D. Davis now and then go sign one of those pitchers. They've just had 2 pitchers go down with injuries. I think, adding pitching always made sense for them. And even now it's it's less of a luxury and kind of a need for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense for them to go get one of those guys, whether that's Snell or Montgomery. And then, the Red Sox are still trying to, do stuff. It makes sense for them. I mean, any team could use Montgomery. I'm going to be honest. It's just, I don't think any team's going to give him what Boris kind of promised.
Right. And, at this point, they are losing leverage.
Yeah.
So, the deals aren't going to get any higher.
Yeah.
But, no, you're right. Montgomery is a kind of piece that you can just throw into that 3rd spot in almost any rotation.
I think you're happy if he's your 3. You are ecstatic. I think he's probably more of a 2 on most teams. I don't know. Hey, maybe the Dodgers, they shed a little bit more payroll. Go get sign one of these guys, build a super team.
They've got unlimited money.
Yeah, but I mean they're in that luxury tax question mark zone now, where it's like, do we necessarily want to add? Even if they sign this guy for $20 million, the tax that they pay on that, it's closer to $40-50 million. So it's like, do we necessarily want to add all that payroll?
Yeah. They don't need it.
No.
This isn't something that they needed to do anyway.
No, I mean, I think they have that's kind of the thing where it's kind of a question mark for me for them is rotation depth. I mean, Glass now isn't necessarily the shining pillar of health. Kershaw, I think he's starting the year on the IL. He's gonna ramp up late. Kind of like what Rich Hill's planning on doing this offseason or this year.
Ohtani's not pitching this season, right?
Ohtani's not pitching. James Paxton, last time that guy threw a full healthy season, was when he was with the Mariners, I think. I'm looking. 2019, he threw 150 innings, and that's the second most of his career. So you can't rely on him to give you 32 starts, and so I mean, yeah, they have so many pitchers projected to start the season on the IL. Oh my. Sorry. They have Walker Buehler, Nick Frasso, Tony Gonsolin, Clayton Kershaw, Dustin May. That's a whole playoff rotation right there.
Yeah. And that's been, I guess, the weak point for the Dodgers, if you can call it a weak point.
The starting pitching health? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been a weak point for the Rays, too, That's just how you win baseball games now.
Yeah. Excuse me. I think that's fallen over here.
Oh.
No, but yeah, that is how you win pitching. This is how pitching is really important.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that franchises view how we get these starts is a lot different now too. At least like these more forward-thinking franchises, like the Giants, like the Dodgers, like the Rays. It's I mean, just the way. I mean, even the Braves now too. Where I think the Braves are happy if they get 20 starts from Sale, and then call it a year. Obviously, they would love to have him healthy for 32, but I mean that's not realistic anymore. So it's how do you piece together the innings is becoming a new puzzle.
Yeah, those long relievers in the bullpen. It was pretty rare a while ago, like 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But almost every team has 2 or 3 of them now.
Yeah, I mean you need those swingmen now, who can go. Hey, we need you to go throw 5 innings. Okay. Now you're going to go throw, 1 or 2 next time you go out. Probably not the best for arm health, but, it's, that's just the way the game's developed.
Yeah. Whatever wins the game,
Mm-hmm.
really, at the end of the day. It's really interesting how that works, though. How the rise in analytics completely changed the way that pitching is done.
Mm-hmm.
Taking away those classic 6-7 inning starters, I guess, kind of becoming relics at this point. They don't really exist anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I think that's more of like, they're just not as effective deeper in the outings, and so, you just want, you want that, who can you have that's going to be the most effective at this point in time out there at all times, essentially. Obviously, barring like rest, you can't throw a guy 5 days in a row, unless they're Craig Salmon. But it's just you gotta. Okay, cool. This guy's gonna be really good. Yeah, against these 3 hitters. Let's line him up to throw. Yeah, sure, he's typically like a closer. But hey, he matches up best against the 1, 2, 3, and those guys are coming up in the 7th inning. Let's throw him against those guys. And then we'll have somebody else come in after him. it's more and more like matchup and who's most effective in one spot. Because if you're really good against left-handed hitters who can't hit a fastball, yeah, we're gonna throw you against those guys and not against the righties who crush fastballs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's not exactly. I guess sinkers would be a better way of phrasing it, but yeah, this is what franchises and like coaching staffs and front offices think now.
Moving into some spring training, game so far, what has been your big takeaway, I guess? What is there anything been that's like surprised you, I guess, in this spring training?
I wouldn't say surprised. Obviously, I cover the Nats the most, and so just watching all their games, James Wood is him. Yeah, that guy. I think he has like one of the hardest hit balls of the spring training. He had one of his home runs were would have been the fifth hardest hit ball by a national, hardest hit home run last year. He's just insane. Very much looking forward to him being up whenever he comes up. And then, it's just, my favorite time of the year, new pitch watch. We just watched the new pitches. Bryce Miller has a new splitter. I mean, that's kind of the, obviously, I guess you see, the new things that players change on pitchers more, who's throwing harder, who's throwing a different pitch. Hitters, obviously there's, a new swing, but that's, a new swing, but that's, how many people change their swing over? That's kind of been a fun thing. Like I said, Bryce Miller starting a splitter. Brian Wu still can't throw against lefties. Just fun stuff like that.
You say James Wood whenever he comes up. Do you not think he's going to be on the opening day roster?
So I was reading in the Washington Post earlier today, where maybe. I don't know. The way it was worded in the article made it seem like the Nats plan on having Gallo, Winker, and Meneses kind of be those three guys. I know a lot of Nats.
In the outfield?
No, those are the three guys. They're gonna rotate those guys.
Okay.
And then Lane Thomas, and then whoever wins that center field spot between Young and Robles is gonna be kind of that roster. I don't know. The way I look at it is not Jacob Young. Right now, Jesse Winker is projected to make that opening day roster. Those two, I think, between him and Wood, can be kind of swapped, and that's kind of they're competing for a spot, less of Jacob Young and James Wood are competing for a spot. If that makes sense. With each other.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he should, but I understand the argument where hey, he struck out 32% of the time in AA last year. Now I don't put a whole lot of stock into that, but maybe Rizzo and Dave Martinez put a lot of stock into that. I don't know. I'm not them, so I can't read their minds on how they want to construct this roster. I think the best products on the field, both from a hey, we're going to get fans in the seats, and just from a competing and putting the best roster together, I think James Wood makes that roster.
Right.
But, maybe they disagree. That's fine. Baseball, you can draw different conclusions from the same data. Sometimes, Some of those conclusions are going to be the wrong conclusions. But, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
it would be a first.
Yeah, it would be. Hayden's never been wrong either.
Yeah.
Not once.
Not once in my life have I ever been wrong.
Are you going to win this rock, paper, scissors match?
No.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
He's through.
It's a catch-22.
He's through.
They'll never know what happened.
They'll never know what happened. Schrodinger's rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
I was just gonna keep on doing rock.
And I picked up on that.
But yeah, real quick before we continue, we've reached the top of the hour here on WXJM 88.7,
No.
88.7 FM, Harrisonburg, Virginia, and WXJM.org. That clock is ahead. This is the Triple Threat Show. We're live on YouTube as well at the Triple Threat Show. Today it's me, Jeremy Lapidus, joined by my two friends and co-hosts,
Hayden Raymer
and
Peter.
but yeah, a lot more, a couple more things in baseball before we move on.
What's your big spring training storyline?
My
that
big
you're watching, Jeremy?
big thing that I'm watching. Well, I'm watching the Nationals a lot. I've been watching a lot of their young guys, but also I've been watching Juan Soto a little bit because
As one does.
yeah, of course, because obviously he's been kind of passed around the league these last couple of years.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just remembering a conversation we had off the air a couple days ago.
Yeah, but he's kind of been passed around the league a bit. He obviously turned down that $400 million contract with the Nationals and got traded to the Padres. And by all reports and accounts, hated it over there.
Yeah,
Not a good time. And now he's on the Yankees, and he's not going to talk about contract until the season's over.
Yeah. I mean, he made it this far.
Yeah.
Might as well stick to his, I want to hit free agency guns.
Mm-hmm. And then there's been this rumor that I've been hearing. That he might come back home.
Well, I mean, it's not a rumor. He just said he really loved DC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been keeping an eye on him. I've been watching the Yankees a little bit. Obviously, that's going to be a good team with him and Aaron Judge up there at the top of that lineup. Aaron Judge is finally going to have some protection.
Yeah.
It doesn't that he didn't have last year.
Well, I mean, yeah, Giancarlo's always hurt.
The
way they plan on constructing that lineup, though, is so weird.
Well, Judge really, really, really wants to hit 3, I think he said, or was it 2?
So, I guess, from a, depending on how you view baseball, right? If you are, you want to be the super analytics, like, oh, I'm so smart nerd, like me. Juan Soto leads off, Aaron Judge second. Now, I understand why one would be a little skeptical of that. But they plan on, like, doing, like, Verdugo, DJ LeMahieu, Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, from what I've heard.
What?
Yeah. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. I wouldn't mind, like, Gleyber Torres leading off, then you do Soto, then Judge. I wouldn't hate that. That's, like, fine lineup construction. Especially because everyone loves their left, right, or right, left, you know, you gotta interchange it a little bit. Yeah. It's a little weird.
It is weird. The Yankees always do weird things with their lineups.
Yeah. And then you have Rizzo in the 5 hole. Then you put, like, trying to think. Whoever's DHing at that point? Stanton?
We can assume it's Stanton.
Stanton. You do, Rizzo at 4, and then Stanton. You're adding the 5 hole. If you do Torres leading off, or Soto, I don't know. I've lost track of where we are. Peter, what do you think of Juan Soto being traded around this much? What?
Han Solo?
Juan Soto.
Oh, Juan Soto. I genuinely thought he said Han Solo.
I think that was a bobblehead that they did. It was Juan Solo.
Really?
I think the Nats did that, yeah. Maybe I'm misremembering.
Is he good?
He's like a future Hall of Famer.
Does
He's doing
he
things
mind being traded around? Is there no trade clauses in the...
No, he's like so in baseball, you know, teams have like 6 years of team control. where they can't become a free agent until after that.
Yeah.
And then, so the Nats, like 2 years ago now, 2.5 years ago now, they offered him, at the time, was the biggest contract that would have ever been signed.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, nah. And they're like, okay, well, we have no shot at retaining this guy. Trade him for like a insane haul, like the biggest haul ever, to the Padres. The Padres were bad. And so now he has 1 year left of team control. So this offseason they trade him to the Yankees. And now by all reports, if the Yankees aren't in it, they aren't in the playoff hunt around the trade deadline, they're going to trade him again. And this kid is doing stuff that hasn't been done since Ted Williams and Mickey Mantle, which for the people not in the know are like inner circle Hall of Famers.
Wow.
Yeah.
It feels like this is a time in baseball where all of a sudden there's these once in a generation players.
Yeah. Talent's good.
It is.
Is it because baseball's getting opened up in more like countries around the world, and so
Yes.
That and then analytics.
Yeah. Shohei Ohtani, Japan, obviously. Juan Soto,
Dominican
Dominican.
I mean, they just have a giant amount of talent coming out of there.
It's just, it's happening in every sport. It's not just baseball. You look at basketball, it's probably the most talented that it's ever been. And that's not just because people in the U.S. are getting better, but that's because you're getting these incredible talents from Europe, from Africa, from all over the world, You get Wemby, who...
Victor Wembanyama.
First of all, oh my goodness. Sorry. I got a little sidetracked.
You're all good.
Luka, Giannis, all the Jokic, all these guys from Europe that are coming in at the top of the league.
He doesn't want to even play basketball.
And it's scary. Because you know how good he would be if he tried? He'd be in GOAT conversations if he tried.
Hey, and to put in perspective, Jokic is arguably the top.
I know.
He's easily top 3. He's arguably
I think he's the best in the world.
Yeah, best in the world. And this guy does not like basketball.
Mm-hmm.
He genuinely, every single time people have been give him ultimatums like basketball or horses. He's like, horses, don't even have to think about it. He has straight up said that the only reason why he plays is because he can get more horses for his farm back in, I think it's Slovenia or somewhere. I can't remember exactly.
I mean, hey, that's what he's good at,
Yeah.
Just don't get hurt and a lot, and then make an entire fan base hate you.
He's won an NFL champion. I'm not NFL, NBA championship.
Wow.
NFL championship. Now that'd be something.
Rendon has too, but
Yeah. Anthony Rendon, former Washington National, now on the LA Angels, basically said the same thing. Baseball's just a day job. I can quit whenever. I don't really want to do it.
But the problem with that is he's been hurt a lot.
He's played one season in the past 5 seasons.
Yeah, like a season's worth of games. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Jokic would get away with that.
No, I don't think he would get away with that. And he's also getting paid $320-something million.
Is all money in baseball guaranteed?
Fully guaranteed.
Yeah. That's the beautiful thing about baseball.
If you
Greatest players
if you
union
make
ever.
it,
Why do parents not push their
if you
kids
because
with
it's
it?
so hard to make it in baseball, but if you make it in baseball,
You make it.
you are generationally rich. It's
But
Even if you somewhat make it,
Yeah.
I mean, you're still setting up yourself and your kids, maybe not your grandkids too much. I mean, if you're wise to money.
but Kyler Murray, for example, could have made it in baseball.
football's more fun to play.
And I mean, there's no
And
guarantee.
Kyler Murray made it in football. He was
Yeah.
going to go 1 overall. He wasn't sure if he was going to make it out of the minors in baseball.
That's also another thing. You're in the minors for 2, 3, 4 years. You can always get hurt.
That's true.
And then you got to go through those 6 years of waiting until you get to free agency. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 10 years at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
At that point in the NFL, most players are retired.
Yeah. So there's a big positive to going to Major League Baseball. That money's fully guaranteed. But you have to make it, and it's a really tough road. It's been getting better. There's been a lot of improvements made in just the last few years to minor leagues.
Well, there's a suspicion.
But still.
There's a suspicion with the NFL that there's about to be a $50 million quarterback. So,
60.
60?
People are saying $60 million for Dak.
It's not that good. And you will literally never be able to trade him once you do that contract.
I mean, you could. You just have to eat the money, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd have to take responsibility of the contract, which there's no point in trading him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But imagine the Hall. You get this great guy for free.
I genuinely think that if they put up Dak for trade, people would say Maxwell goes a third round. Especially, like, Dak is not a good quarterback.
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
He's just not elite.
Is he in your top 10?
Borderline.
He's not in my top 10.
I'm trying to think of 10 quarterbacks. Give me a minute.
He's the highest I'd put him is 10. The lowest I'd put him is 13.
I'll pull up a list of quarterbacks.
Yeah, I need to do this.
All right.
Because we've got
in no particular order. I have Josh Allen ahead of him, Patrick Mahomes ahead of him, C.J. Stroud ahead of him. I'm gonna skip Jalen Hurts. Lamar Jackson ahead of him, Joe Burrow ahead of him, Justin Herbert ahead of him. I would rather have Trevor Lawrence and Kyler Murray.
I'll agree with you on the first one.
Let's see how Kyler comes.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd rather have Brock Purdy. I'd rather have Kirk Cousins.
So Purdy, Kyler, Dak, and Cousins are my 10 to 13 range.
And I'd probably rather have Aaron Rodgers.
You didn't say Patrick Mahomes.
I did.
That was like the second one.
Was it?
Third or second.
I swear he didn't.
No. I didn't say Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I said I'm not going to say Jalen Hurts.
But
Jalen
Dak
Hurts.
is in the same tier to me as those guys.
Jalen Hurts is going to get exposed this year.
He already kind of got exposed last year.
As in, like, but more so as in, this will be the year that if he can't put it together.
Well, wasn't he hurt a bunch?
He was kind of hurt. He was still playing. If he was that hurt, he shouldn't have been playing.
Yeah.
It's the Trevor Lawrence thing. Trevor Lawrence was hurt all of last year, but the argument was, and an argument that I made with people is, well, he was so hurt, then why was he playing? If it was so much better that a backup should be the starting quarterback, then why was he playing? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but Dak is in that same range, that 10 to 13 range as Kirk Cousins, Kyler Murray, and Brock Purdy for me. I think a lot of those guys, depending on the season that they have that season, are interchangeable.
Just remember that Brock Purdy and Dak, before how it ended, were going to be the MVP. One of them was going to be the MVP. And then Brock had 2 bad games, and Dak had a stretch of bad games.
Dak never really had a bad game.
He did. He did.
I don't think he did.
Let's look.
I think he just was never really a serious MVP candidate.
I mean, was anybody?
Dak, week 15 against Buffalo was ranked the 32nd quarterback in the league. Dak, week 1 was ranked the 29th in the league.
He didn't have to do anything
in
week
the
1.
5th, he was the 25th.
He didn't have to do anything
3
week
games.
1.
No, the stretch I was talking about is week 14, week 15, and week 16, when they needed him to play well. He was 14th, 32nd, and then 15th. So, can't get much worse than 32nd.
Anyway. Peter, do you have a burning question about sports?
I'll ask a burning question about the NFL.
Because I just so happen to have a magic 8-ball in my possession right now.
Will the NFL change the rules for college eligibility within the next 5 years.
What do you mean by that?
With how we're seeing with NIL, will the NFL either reduce the time that is necessary to join the NFL, or will the NFL require players to be even older before going?
The Magic 8 Ball says yes, but I say no.
To which one?
To the changes. I don't think they're going to make changes. Although that is a really interesting thing, because
We're seeing all these coaches leaving.
it's not even that. I don't know. I think the NCAA is on a ticking clock as an organization.
I do too.
Um,
NIL was the thing that started the timer.
right. And I think the way that they're talking about playoff expansion, especially, is a really troubling sign.
Oh yeah, poor Notre Dame. Notre Dame is just...
It's not even that. Like, that 12-team system, it's fine. Notre Dame is going to be okay. They're a good team.
Yeah, but if they're number one, they don't get a bye week.
Oh, well, they can join a conference if they really want to. But this 12-team model is fine. I'd like to see it tried out. I really would. 5 plus 7, I think that's a really good model. Or it's a good start. Not even a week after they passed that model, they said, let's go to 14 teams. And this proposed 14-team thing really is concerning me for the future of the NCAA. Not that it needs to exist, because it doesn't really do much right now. But it kind of is like a glue that holds these otherwise independent conferences together.
Yep.
So the proposed model is, for football, the SEC and the Big Ten, their top 3 schools get in. For the ACC and the Big 12, their top 2 schools get in. And one group of 5 team gets in, and there's 3 at-large spots.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really looking like the NCAA is kind of bowing down to the SEC and the Big Ten. And the SEC and the Big Ten recently formed a coalition, a sort of alliance, kind of. And they insist, they swear it's not a coup against the NCAA. They swear they don't want to do anything like that. They just want to partner up. Just the Big Ten and the SEC. They want to have a better relationship with each other. They swear it's nothing. But this coalition happened February 2nd. The 12-team college playoff got passed February 10th-ish. The 14-team proposal came out like the 17th. It's all moving really quickly. It's all moving in such a way that it looks like the NCAA is terrified of them leaving. Like,
They should be.
They should be. And it's not a good look for them. Like, they're giving in this quickly. Like, it hasn't even been a month, and they're making these concessions.
Yeah. I think they need to provide incentives for teams to go to other conferences.
They can't do that. They can't attack these conferences.
Of course they can.
No, because then they would leave. The SEC and the Big Ten are gearing up to leave right now.
You don't have to attack them. You can literally just do an incentive, you don't have to do tariffs against the... We're not talking about wartime. We're just talking like, hey, if you join the Sun Belt, you will, not only will you be a top team, which they can say behind closed doors, but will also reduce the percentage on which you have to pay the NCAA, of your money.
Right, and I get that, but
money.
Right, SEC and I get that, Big Ten teams hear about that. They hear the NCAA is paying teams to not go to your conference.
Yeah, but what are they going to do? If you
They're going to leave.
Yeah, okay, they leave. And then what they're going to then have their own deals, and it's still going to be the same amount of money. So teams are going to leave them still. If you make incentives good enough, it does not matter. The SEC and Big Ten can go away, and it can just be Alabama and Georgia by themselves. And then the other teams that are not those big name schools, Ohio State and Michigan can go over there too. But like Indiana, for example, where our former coach went to. Do you really think, especially with a former Sun Belt coach, that if the NCAA said, hey, if you come over here, it's a reduction in the percentage you owe us, you really thinking a bottom team like Indiana is not going to jump ship? And you really think the SEC and the Big Ten would care about a bottom team jumping ship? Leave spaces open for new teams to do it.
No, they wouldn't. But you get to a point where all of these top brands are forming a different league. And all of a sudden you have an NFL, AFL, old school type thing.
Yeah, I mean, then it becomes, Power 5 becomes its own, it already is kind of its own thing, but then it just gets further amplified, and that's what we're seeing.
Right.
I don't know. I just want that to see it evolve.
And I think if things continue as they're going, it's going to.
I hope so.
And I don't know what college sports would look like without the NCAA. I think football would be fine. I think basketball would be fine. At least men's basketball would be fine. The other sports, these less popular ones, these non-revenue generating sports, the NCAA is still vital for that. Like, as much as it's a terrible organization, the NCAA is kind of really important in those non-revenue generating sports.
Yeah. However, I'm not sure how fair it is that essentially non-revenue sports can essentially just take the money. I mean, if you look at March Madness, for example, it generates pretty much the entire budget for almost every other sport other than football and basketball every single year for the teams that are in it. That is their entire other sports budget. I understand that it's oh, well, it's fair to, we want these kids to have, an option, and it shouldn't just be. And I'm saying there are some sports, growing sports, that would still need it, and I would hope that schools would still do that split. Women's basketball is really growing. Lacrosse is always growing. And I've met a lot of nice people. No one goes to swim meets. No one goes to some of these sports. No one goes to. Tennis, I really enjoy watching tennis, but at least at JMU, not a lot of people go and watch their games. You can go; they're right next to UREC. And that's not me saying that you need to get rid of these sports, but they need to figure out a way to generate money. Because, in fairness, these programs shouldn't have to pay for another program's entire budget.
Right, and that's the way that it's starting to become. And it's just, like I said, these big money-making sports are going to be fine. These uber-popular sports, they're going to be just fine. Even the ones that are slightly less popular. Baseball isn't a revenue sport for a lot of programs, but it'll find a way. It's baseball,
Softball as well for a lot of places.
Right.
JMU loves its softball team here.
They're not revenue-generating sports, but these teams that have, a major professional league attached to them, they'll find a way if the NCAA collapses. But some of those smaller ones, like swim, tennis, even lacrosse a little bit. I know it has the PLL, I guess, but I'm not convinced that lacrosse would survive the NCAA.
Golf would probably fall.
right? There's all these smaller sports that, just because people aren't going to, it doesn't mean it's not worth it to have it.
But at the end of the day, who is it benefiting? It's only benefiting the players. And while I understand that's great and we always want people to do that, but it's not fair to the other programs. I mean, think about it like this. If you were a basketball player at something like Duke, and with all this money that you could now get, that money would be significantly higher if those teams and programs did not exist. So a lot of the players that wouldn't get that much money now would get a significant increase in money. And sure, that would destroy some of the programs, and that would be really sad, but who goes to them? Like, I understand that the players' parents probably go to them. That's awesome. It's a building, and it's great for future jobs for those players. But when you're thinking about, like, everyone as a whole, the top sports for both it's football and it's men's basketball, and then women's basketball is big for a lot of programs, especially Iowa. I mean, Iowa was selling tickets at like $500.
I know.
And volleyball is a big one for a lot of schools as well. Volleyball is one of the fastest growing sports in America currently. Softball, baseball, the list goes on. But then sports like track and field, or swim, or golf, not a lot of people go. And you should really, I think that if you polled people and like fans of your organization, like if JMU polled the fans of JMU sports, and they said, what would you rather have? Swim or better facilities for fans at these arenas? Yeah, at these arenas like Bridgeforth and Atlantic Union Bank Center. Like, better facilities, better amenities. What would you rather have? They would pick the better amenities because they don't go to the other sports.
Right.
And, I mean, once again, I'm not saying that they should do this. I'm just saying, in fact, I think that it would be bad if they did do it. I'm just saying that I can 100% see the argument of, well, why should we have to pay for your program? You guys, the swim team doesn't come out and support the football team as one group. The track team doesn't. At least I don't think they do. If they do, then I apologize. But I doubt they do for every single place.
Yeah. It's just, I have a hard time picturing college athletics landscape without the NCAA.
I think another governing body would.
I know another one would show up because it kind of needs to.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just going down. It's just the path that we're heading down.
I want the NCAA to fall, and then the new organization to take over, and it'd be the Democratic, and like there'd be one representative from every single college.
Oh, I had a better idea.
Oh yeah.
I know what we're gonna do today.
Okay.
We're gonna start our own governing body for college athletics.
I'm going to law school now.
Perfect. You're a lawyer, Peter.
You're an attorney.
No.
President, lawyer, and that's your job title. President, lawyer.
President, lawyer, and
I did write in a lot of my personal statements that I was interested in sports law, so.
Exactly. There we go. We got him.
Done. It's a done deal.
Done deal.
I expect 90% of March Madness's pay every single year. That is my salary. Take it or leave it.
It's the only salary you're getting. You're not getting its dime any other month.
That's fine. Dude, do you know how much March Madness makes?
Yeah.
That's fine. I think I can budget.
I think you could budget with just 1 year of that.
You were essentially telling me that I'd have to budget about $500,000 a day.
They make like $1 billion in March Madness.
It's like 10. It's an insane amount.
Oh yeah, we didn't have time to talk about March Madness, but next week conference.
JMU's lose them. There you go.
If they make it.
If they make it, yeah.
They're on the bubble. They got the most wins in the country.
And they keep falling down in the bubble.
No, they keep rising a little bit actually.
When's the Sun Belt Championship?
It starts next week. JMU plays its first game, I believe, March 9th.
Yeah.
I mean, if they win that, then they're in. So.
Yeah. I think as long as they lose a close game to App State in the finals, they're in. That's the only time. That's the only team they can lose to and still make it.
Where JMU is just such a small team that it doesn't matter.
They can't beat App State. It's the worst matchup for them.
It's because they're big.
I know.
And we are not good enough at little ball to... Didn't our coach just leave as well?
No.
Oh.
No. App State is just a matchup nightmare for JMU. I think JMU's a better team, but it's just a matchup nightmare.
I'm thinking of somebody.
But yeah. We'll talk about March Madness later on in future shows. Yeah, we'll be back next week. Same time, same place. Thank you everybody so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Triple Threat Show on WXJM 88.7 FM Harrisonburg, Virginia, and WXJM.org, as well as on YouTube at the Triple Threat Show. I have been your host, Jeremy Lapidus, joined as always by my two friends and co-hosts,
Hayden Raymer.
and
Theater.
thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.